Wayward anymore, not concerned. And I didn't think it'd be the Azir first pick. Looks like it might be.
I also just love how Coach Home was smiling, like, hey, we knew this was coming. Like, these were the jungles we were popping off on. But Yagao has confidence. Top Esports, so incredibly fast. Trundle and Zeri right away. The question for me this time is still that jungle pick for Kanavi. It feels like the most important thing, that he not only has agency, but can't be on something one-dimensional like the Pantheon coming through. We saw him hovering things like the Xin Zhao before. Maybe that's an answer. But as TS, I wonder this time around, if you get to second rotation, if you do actually just pinch the jungle pool.
Yeah, I mean, they could. But even then, if you pick Xin Zhao, that's such a rough matchup into the jungle early. Right now, JDG have these massive scaling powerhouses. Yagao on Azir, I think, alongside Ari, one of his best champs by far has been consistently banned against him. So Top Esports know they have opted into having a strong jungle matchup by securing that Trundle, but they need to make sure they get another good early game, especially with this Lulu locked in. Man, you do not want to face this lineup in the late game that JDG has.
But now I just wonder what TS elect to go in the mid lane. You know, we saw things at the Celia Open. This is something we've hit on a few times throughout this series.
Oh, callback.
This is, you know, kind of a pseudo answer, right? Like, in the 1v1, it could be rough, but you have a lot of heavy trading windows where you can find kill pressure, you can link up with jungle, or you can opt into a scaling option. TS do. We get to game 5. We've seen the knife fight kind of slow down as the series progresses, and we're following that trend still.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the game has been going to those fights in the later stage of the game. Sure, last game, the early advantage gave an edge to the side of Top Esports, but the reason JDG couldn't come back was because their top jungle just didn't hold up in the later stages. Now, the teams are opting into picks, especially with the pressure from game 5 that will give them dividends in those team fights.
And it's those comforts, right? We talked about 369 on the cannon when you guys mentioned team fighting, the late game, the shielding, right? 369 getting denied another tool that would benefit them greatly. Now, we also have Wayward's now, which has been pretty pog so far in the series, but GP gone, we're just targeting top.
Yeah, interesting, we don't see any support bans here. The Renata is still open and available.
True.
Wouldn't surprise me to see that one targeted in this situation. It still leaves those engage options, right? Alistair isn't something really seen, but it's good into Sivir. The Amumu, the Leona, the Nautilus. Nautilus probably not the best for Sivir either, but it wouldn't surprise me to see the Renata ban here. Otherwise, I think Top Esports just take on 4.
I feel like that's why JDG haven't been banning out supports, right? They're like, oh, there's so many options that they could pick. I still agree. I feel like the Renata maybe something to worry about, but JDG at least now do have range to play against something like Renata, right? Having the Azir, they can put out that DPS from a range and then make it hard for members like Zeri or Renata or whoever to be able to walk up and find those angles.
Well, maybe that's the thing with banning away the Ornn, then it limits those engage options. And if you are taking a Renata in the sport, great at disengaging, not the best at starting fights. And it looks like Top Esports going to go for Sejuani, so something that obviously with the Trundle could be very powerful in that 2v2 on the top side with the passive stacking quickly, but also a bit of an engage threat, right? That long-range ultimate that can connect onto critical targets. Now, do you see what 369 is going to go for in the top side?
I feel like the Aatrox looks like the obvious answer to me. Obviously, we've seen things like Mord or whatever come out before, like from other teams, from other regions, but this to me feels like a lot more of a 369 pick. The thing I'm most curious about is still just that jungle option, because we've talked about it. We've seen things like the bel'veths, the Morganas, the niche picks able to come out. Right now, though, JDG don't have a great way of starting fights. They might have the zone control and the range to be able to play off of, but even things like an Aatrox, it's like, you struggle so much against champions like Viktor and Trundle in my mind. Like, sure, you'll do good against like a Sejuani or if Zeri comes a little bit too close, but how do you get 369 involved in fights?
I feel like you need early momentum in this game, because if you fall behind with JDG, as you said, hard to get in. And one of the picks that's been so good at that early momentum is the bel'veth. Having 4 dashes so early in the game makes it so difficult to deal with this pick, and Kanavi is looking to try and find an advantage in the early game.
In a game 5, no one's playing this anymore, but Kanavi says, watch me. I mean, this is just a statement piece from the jungle of JDG.
Dagda was saying on the desk, right? Game 5, this is where coaches, where teams, you got to be a little bit risky. You got to take these fights and see if you can come out ahead. And Top Esports now as well. A big pivot, right? Bringing out things like the Viktor, bringing out the Nautilus into the Sivir, like you said, which could be really rough. And when I look at these two compositions, one thing I think when I see JDG's is like, again, I don't really know how you start fights. You have range to be able to play off of. You have some zone control. Like maybe with individual lane leads, your bel'veth can be able to play. But one thing I like about Top Esports is it's dynamic. You have the ability to peel. You have zone control. You have the ability to engage. It feels a lot more flexible to me than the side of JDG.
Yeah, I feel like JDG, you need to be there first. On the objective or defending a tower, in position, so that when any team go into you, you have all these tools to disengage, all this AoE DPS. Whereas with Top Esports, I feel like they want to be setting the pace early again, which is kind of what we've seen in the series, against our expectations, where we thought JDG would be setting the pace, it has been top esports.
And look at the last game, right? Game number 4 that led us here. The early game for JDG, they weren't able to do so. For top esports, they have been the early game winners so far. And even though we joked a lot around what the early game has meant in this grand final, still in a game 5, it feels like we know the direction. It feels like we've got the perfect picks to complement. Yeah, you have Viktor versus Azir, but a bel'veth from Kanavi. The power of the AD carries being set up for the late game. And 369 trying to slam down the man who's sitting in his place to show that he's the better top laner and to show that he was right to go to JDG. It's a game 5. It's written in the stars. And top esports versus JDG couldn't end any other way. For our first seed at Worlds, for our second championship, for either of these teams to break the tie, to break the competition, one will stand tall. And with our incredible stage running through into game 5, we welcome all old and new viewers to experience this alongside us with our new teams holding the legacy in the LPL.
And that's the big thing, right? Being able to win another LPL title. Neither of these teams have been able to pick up a championship since 2020. Top Esports got incredibly close in spring of this year, bringing RNG to 5 games. And honestly, I'd say players on both sides of the rift at times counted out, right? Tian for his year last year in FPX, now coming in this year, picking up an MVP of the split, honestly performing great in the season. Yagao on the opposite side, a player who's always been looked at as more of a role player, not able to find that impact, coming in, having an amazing split, and honestly defaulting back to one of his signature picks, a first pick Azir on blue side, to try to guarantee his team a championship.
I feel like the thing that's wild for me is that JDG, compared to the other lineups we've seen in our playoffs, if you think of the top 6 we still have competing for world spots, JDG are the only team to not have an international tournament winner. When we look at the likes of top esports, LNG, V5, RNG, EDG, they all have at least one, sometimes multiple, who have won MSIs, Worlds. No one on JDG has, and they want to represent as a first seed if they can win this game and maybe claim that for themselves.
It's so funny to me because you look at JDG's members and you're like, well, Kanavi's been one of the best junglers for years now in the LPL. 369's been one of the best top laners who once looked up to the Shy, who is now standing over the Shy's grave, it seems. We have so many good members on JDG, and this is the way to prove it to the world once again if they could finally return to the World Championship in a new spot of the first seed. Now, for top esports, we talk on the other side. There is so much experience there. You know, outside of Wayward with his rookie year as well, with Mark, who's only been to Worlds once. But for top esports being pushed to the brink here, or at least taking us to a game number 5, all hopes barred. Now, Lyric, I want to start with you. Walk me through a little bit about these compositions again, because we did say that top esports were well-rounded. All those were your words.
Yeah, and I feel like top esports even have more options in the early game, especially having something like a Trundle. You know, can walk into a lane, throw the pillar down, try and get some summoner spells out, and find a lot of these early gank avenues. It looks like maybe might even angle for something now. So for JDG, I feel like it's a lot harder to connect the pieces, and Tian might be looking for something now. Yagao is on the Azir, does have some mobility and survivability to be able to try to escape.
Shifting sands available, as you said. Pillar comes out first, though, but Yagao is easily over it. And this has been so funny. Watching this, game 2, game 4, Tian likes to bully Yagao.
Yeah, you have to be so careful, though, I feel like, if bel'veth is able to match, just on the fact that she has 4 dashes, and you may think, oh, well, they're in different directions, but you can use them diagonally, so you can just give 3 in the same direction, roughly, and the E, 70% damage reduction when you're channeling. It makes it very hard to focus down a bel'veth. So Tian looks for a gank, doesn't find it, was obviously spotting the ward, but gets out quickly, doesn't want to tango with Kanavi yet.
And that's why one thing when we're looking at the bel'veth I'm very curious about is, right, having the Azir, a champion who can do a really good job at keeping Prio in mid, who once again might be focused down, picking this Aatrox, I think hoping to look for the same thing, and then seeing if he could use that to be able to get that first Herald fight, right? Because as JDG having the bel'veth, that's what we're looking at, being able to get those, you know, avoid minions and be able to have that incredible pushing power and just, you know, your true form for as long as you can.
Yeah, I mean, if you get the early Heralds, the extra power from it with the scaling picks they have can really set the pace. But looking top right now, this wave is pushing out for 369. He's going to end up overextended. We do see Kanavi having heading over, and 369 just has to try and mitigate the pressure until then.
But maybe get the flash out first. 369 hovering to the side, the pillar great, but no follow-up in the damage. And as you said, Kanavi moving up as Tian walks back towards River. He will be on top of this Trundle, and now with 369 following up as well, the 2v2, a double knockup coming through from the above and below. Those void surges you talked about, Orcs, paying dividends. First blood for King Kanavi.
I love seeing JDG go for the aggressive counter gank. 369 with the flash to make sure they guarantee the kill, and they even get it onto the bel'veth.
And I feel like as well, with the Trundle Sejuani, the lockdown is great. Single target damage, solid. But the second it gets into that skirmish, it's so hard to finish off the likes of a bel'veth with that E or Aatrox as well with all that healing.
Yeah.
They end up overcommitting, and you know, I feel like this play was so unnecessary. They went so aggressively forwards for it, and then Tian starts walking towards the river instead of taking the safe route. The knockup connects on a 2, resets the dash for the bel'veth as well, and they get all that cleanup.
And I mean, you said, right, you pretty much have 3 dashes in the same direction. We saw it right there. But Top Esports, I love how we come out of the replay. And we said coming out from draft, right? You see Azir, you see Viktor, it's like, okay, the series has progressively slowed down. Tian didn't get the memo. Tian really wants to keep fighting these advantages. And we said it coming in, right? I feel like Tian has had such a stellar series so far.
Yep.
Amazing split, and he wants to keep that momentum going.
I feel like Tian, one of the most underrated junglers, considering people signed him off in previous years due to his injury. We look at Tian on Top Esports and yet again trying to bring the aggression. But we need to tell the story of Kanavi because he was the one who picked up first blood. Now, Orcs, you were talking about the early game here with the bel'veth. Kanavi's almost level 6, and with this kind of top priority, I guess that herald becomes even easier.
Yeah, I mean, the fact you already have 369 looking strong, trading heavily with Wayward, the fact you have the Azir who's so good at getting priority in the mid lane and bot lane. Remember, it's very hard for Mark to engage onto Hope because of the spell shield.
True.
Missing can help to push the wave in. If they get a big considered move to the herald, a herald with a bel'veth can be so much damning than just a regular herald. I could really set the pace of this game, push JDG forwards, and put Top Esports in an uncomfortable position.
And I feel like for JDG, right, we already said they need to be on objective first, which might not necessarily mean they need to find an early game lead, but it just makes it like so guaranteed and exactly so assured that you're always able to do that. Because if not, if Top Esports are there, right, again, running things into like a Viktor, running into a Trundle is so annoying, so tedious. We want to see Kanavi in a good position. And even in this game, I'm kind of curious what 369 will go for in regards to build, right? Because Conqueror this time around, because it's not that typical Gnar matchup, you wouldn't expect to see the lethality when you're up against a Trundle and a Sejuani. Might just be a gore drinker.
I feel like you're going to go for the bulkier, more bruiser build rather than the lethality fighter build, just because you're going to be hitting a lot of the time the front line of Top Esports, and you need to survive long enough so that when you reach the back line, you don't not just getting one hit by a Viktor like ER, immediately taking you out of the game.
Feels interesting, especially since we've waited all series long, right? 369 to pull out the Aatrox. Game number 5, the carry performance is what we expect, but we have to pause there because Kanavi's heading to the top side. We're seeing a lot of these vision plays around mid, and the setup for this Herald in 30 seconds.
Yeah, notice a big thing. They're already moving over, they've got the skull in the area, and bot lane priority was achieved by Hope and Missing, so Missing's leaving the base now, able to move over. They could just fully commit the whole bot lane here on the top side, but I think they're trying to wait and see what Top Esports do in return. But I fully expect a fight over this Herald. We've seen sometimes teams are willing to cross map. In this game, I expect a full-on fight for it.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised we didn't see like Hope hover towards mid like an AD carry usually will, and then you kind of feel out what the enemy team's doing and you full on commit, because you can see now JackeyLove moving over first. TS are going to have forces around this part of the map first.
Pillar.
And even TS trying to find this pick.
Well, onto Missing damage is good. Chaos Storm as well as JackeyLove helps with the poke. That ulti simply to assert a bit of dominance with Herald now in life.
But look at top lane on the mini-map. It looks like JDG maybe trying to find their avenue by getting a pick onto Wayward, but not giving the avenue over.
Hope's able to push out the bottom lane in the meanwhile. That'll crash denying JackeyLove, but gents, it's still going to be the Herald started up here.
Yeah, it looks like one of the things is with the ult from Night Down, that's obviously costly, but everyone is corralled in. JDG starting to collapse around, but they are still waiting for Hope.
Hawks, you've been on point here, calling it. They want to fight for the Herald. It is gone, though. As Top Esports stare down JDG and vice versa. Red line! Mark and the lockdown as well. It's a response with JackeyLove getting the kill with a swoop and boop. Yagao comes in with the Azir that's been banned away. But Top Esports are still winning this fight. They've got a 2 for 0 here, and they walk away with hands in the air.
It's just so crazy. They they get the Herald and they could have backed away, but they see a window. Mark, fantastic on this pick in this meta. We've had Enchanter trades off. He picks the Nautilus and he delivers there. I even thought with the ult coming out from the Azir, it might be enough to turn it around, but Lyric, they still hold strong.
Yeah, and I think TES are smart, right? We were just setting up for JDG to team fight. You want to be there first. Hook comes through. He's now down. Now it's JDG. I don't know how you do this. Sure, you find the Emperor's Divide in, but you're in between, again, all these melee champions. Sejuani there. Kanavi gets burst out immediately because you are not a tanky. You're not a beefy champion. And top esports setup is just perfect for that scenario.
And Orcs, as you said, it was about that Rift Herald play for Kanavi. Doesn't get the Endless Banquet, doesn't get the evolution and the strength diminished from Kanavi, and we look at top esports back in this early game, gold is now even.
Yeah, one of the things with bel'veth is the ideal bel'veth game is one where you chain kills and neutral objectives, so you permanently have that upgraded form. Obviously, when you kill the Herald, it's even better, but the thing is, because he died there, because he hasn't been able to get much action, he will just be in that weaker state. But yeah, we have to remember, JDG didn't opt to move Hope up initially to that Herald fight. They were late on it, and that decision might cost them heavily, and we're in a game 5. You don't get second chances.
And that's the thing, right? It kind of hurts because, sure, it looks like Hope will be up a wave. You know, he's even in to catch a wave right now down in that bot side. But I feel like, sure, you have Sivir, such a pivotal role of this composition. But I feel like bel'veth, if she falls too far behind or doesn't start finding those neutrals that she wants, could just very quickly lose the agency and lose the power to be able to find the fights that she wants. Now, top esports, we've already seen Tian being the one to initiate a lot of the action. JDG have been mostly on the receiving end of like looking for counter ganks or hovering around their lanes and reacting to what's happening. I feel like that dynamic is still going to hold up.
As ulti comes through, we're going to look at top side as Wayward getting chunked down. 369 has flash, but the combo comes through. The emote game is very strong for a game number 5.
You know this is how top esports and how Wayward are feeling confident. He came in all serious, all business, but he's vibing, Ox.
Yeah, he knows what's going on. He's taking the L on the top side, but his team are doing well in return. He's going to recall him back away. But ultimately, sure, wave denied. Maybe they look for a plate. Not even. Actually, TP's going to come in and defend, so nothing achieved here. But with the Dragon taken on the bot side, and Infernal as well, 6% AP and AD for the whole game. I feel like when you can pick up one of those percentage stats Dragons early, it's easy to overlook it, but that is going to have long-term effects on how well top esports perform in the later stages.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be absolutely massive. We can see now TS still holding that vision line true around the bottom half of the map. Tian kind of working his way around there right now. And with Mark coming on the map, it's once again the dynamic we had earlier of like Nautilus against Lulu, tank versus, you know, Enchanter support. And it feels like Mark will be able to get a lot more done, especially in regards to finding picks. They already control vision, and they have such great ways of engaging.
What I find hilarious as well, with Zeri into an Enchanter, it's like you shield your AD carry, and Zeri just steals them. So it's like, no,
good point. It's such a good dynamic. We don't talk about it enough, but look, for JackeyLove, we'll be keeping eyes on because he's close to his first item, and for top esports, close to punching above the gold lead. Herald finally used for Tian to break down a couple mid.
Great choice as well. I mean, you're going up against Azir and Sivir. So the longer this game goes without breaking mid turret, like, my God, man, how would top esports break it? They wouldn't. They need those Heralds to come out around mid and also giving a nice bit of gold to members like Knight.
Yeah, but it just puts further emphasis on the second Herald, because often we see the first Herald chip down that mid tower. The second Herald is the one that can finish it off.
True.
And I think if they get that tier 1 mid, it can really allow them to push the pace of this game forwards and make all that difference.
And as we've seen, the gold continues to get shared with people like JackeyLove, right? Got some in the bottom side as well. JackeyLove is almost towards that first item, but that Zeri picked up the kill before. In fact, Immortal Shieldboat just picked up as I love the cameraman looking at Wayward up at the top side versus 369. He knows the story. Nothing much happening apart from battling of heads right now from the two.
I love just how 369 hits like everything onto him, and then Wayward just like hits him with the E auto, and the trade's about even. Yeah, this is a Blade Ruin King. bel'veth, by the way, very scary.
And it's going to hurt quite a lot. Jumping in again with a Void Surge. Kanavi now looking for a reposition. Remember, still has that Endless Banquet if he can get a reset.
But look at the minimap, right? Nautilus here, Lulu's not. Just the freedom of movement that Mark has could be the difference maker if a skirmish breaks out on top side. I like what JDG do. They realize, hey, Zeri's in bot lane all by herself. We don't want to look for these plays. Back off, regroup.
Yeah, just making sure they don't go for an over-aggressive player that can be punished, because the game gets blown open now, especially with the Herald in a minute. That's when Top Esports can really look to solidify a lead, and they are a team who will push the pace forward, not just because that's what they like to do, but with the comp they have, the engage tools available, they really will be able to set things forward.
And look, when we're looking at a Game 5, when we're looking at Top Esports being in the position to repeat summer from 2020, you know, you look at a comp that's so favored for Top Esports that we talk about being amongst their identity. Now, right now, I want to bring us back because, as you said, Herald is up in 30 seconds, Dragon in a minute 50, but more so because Tian and Kanavi up here, with Kanavi backing away recently after Tian helps out Knight.
I will say, right, for the second Herald, one thing you can notice, Hope and Missing having push in mid, because JackeyLove and Mark are actually hovering around mid as a duo. I would like to see them maybe opt to move up as a unit this time around if they are looking to contest that. But looking at the map, it seems like no, Hope and Missing wanting to keep up that push in bot lane.
Adding the pressure in with TP.
It's really interesting because, I mean, it's going to gain some advantages, but with how valuable the Herald is...
Oh, Yagao interrupted Tian! That's MVP performance as Wayward gets over the wall. Yagao ultis, but he's dead. Cowstorm helps out as JDG now come in, but it's after the fact. In a Game 5, Tian shows why he's that summer MVP.
Such good pillar usage, interrupts the dash, and 9 times out of 10, the Azir just skates away, but Yagao gets caught, goes down, and Kanavi is quick to follow. The bel'veth with the E feels hard to take down, but he got knocked up and just deleted immediately. Now, they might just take that mid-tier 1 without the Herald, but they'll get the Herald as well.
And even look at bot side, right? Like, Top Esports are able to cover all 3 sides of the map. 1 man Herald, wait.
Should he be here? I mean, he's got flash available, but the rest of Top Esports are on the way. Is it a Chad move or is it silly as he ults and flashes out? Herald still goes to TES.
It's one of those things, right, where you can see your team giving over kills. You can, feel that you're slowly starting to, like, come into a deficit.
Yeah.
And hoping you could make that hero play to try and find some semblance of advantage is huge. But looking into this, Pillar gonna start us off, Ox. Like, my God, Tian has been on point.
I feel like Trundle is one of these champions where he seems so simple, but the skill cap, the peak of what you can do with it if you have that timing can be so good. And we see, Kanavi tries to dive in to save it, but just gets instantly deleted. And that's the thing with this bel'veth. If you fall behind, you quickly become irrelevant.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, how do you jump in as bel'veth or Aatrox into any of these champs on the side of TES? It just looks so hard. And again, they will still have an Azir. They will still have a Sivir later on. We saw in their first outing, like, there was a team fight where Yagao was able to carry single-handedly. The potential is still there. And they're not too far behind in gold, but it does look like Top Esports firmly in control.
Yeah, and now, because they went for that big bot side lean to get the first tower, bit of extra gold, it does mean they're going to sacrifice this mid-tier 1. They won't even need the Herald on this. They'll just pick it up. And that is such a good tower in stalling the game out if you have your own mid-tier 1 up, because it's so hard to do this. Look, they take mid-tier 1, instantly over. 369 is going to find it really difficult to contest this wave if they want to lean into him, but it looks like they don't want to commit for more.
I'm surprised that Top Esports didn't commit more, considering JDG showing nowhere on the top side of the map. They will be able to pick up Dragon for this, but no.
He's running. I mean, Tian going by himself into a 1v2. Knight's going to join in shortly as he's taking all the damage with the subjugate, and JackeyLove coming over the wall. Lightning crash down into Hope, but he pulls his own ulti as Kanavi gets burnt down as well. Top Esports get close to finding a pick off, but luckily JDG survived with the objective.
And we said, right, Top Esports needed to find a way to crack red side in this series. They've shown that they've liked red side before, and it seems like they've finally done it.
Yeah, but I will say, they could have gone for the top side lead. They didn't. They could have tried to contest the Dragon, and they did, but they didn't find anything. Dragon secured for JDG. They get out. 369 isn't punished top. It could have been a lot worse, is what I'm trying to say, but Top Esports still have that second Herald in pocket, which you can look to use.
So now my biggest question to you, for both of you, Lyric starting, that second Herald and where you use it, how does that build momentum that we saw Top Esports trying to do before?
I feel like breaking open either side lane doesn't really make a difference for the side of, like, TS. Like, their composition's a lot more about, like, grouping up as 5, trying to find these picks. It'll be a nice injection of gold wherever they do decide to lean and open up, like, more avenues to get potential vision. But I kind of think bot lane may be a bit more important, considering that dragons are going to be the things we're playing for at this point in time. If you can have those, like, 2 lanes that JDG can't enter through, it's like, I don't know how JDG fight for a dragon.
Yeah, especially with the Hextech Soul, when one team already struggles with engage, but has great disengage, which, you know, if JDG have the soul, it's going to be so hard to get on them. But if top esports have it, JDG will just not have the tools to reach them. So Dragon's going to be such a pivotal piece in this game. And you said bot lane was going to be the most likely one. They are leaning over. This tower is gone, but we see JDG looking to defend the tier 2 and trying to slow this push down.
And at least 369's getting something in the top side too. That turret drops in continuation, or at least is about to, but second herald push is going to come through here as we look at 369 picking up even more golden response.
Yeah, and you know, we can see here, right, 369 off split pushing because JDG, I think, feel pretty decent.
Wayward's ulti is big. There's a flash immediately. Kanavi gets the knockup though onto Tian. He flashes too. Turret does its own weight in gold as top esports as a 5-man unit react to 369. Now everyone's for the bot party and JDG managing to defend.
And I thought JDG felt decent keeping 369 on that cross map getting gold because they're like, okay, fine, we have things like in Azir, like it'd be very hard to try to dive onto what JDG are going for. But the fact that they had 5 members there, they go for it because even Hope was still just sitting posted in the middle.
I feel like this is just such top esports. Like, it'll be really hard to dive here, and top esports are like, yeah, let's do it. And, you know, they are forced back by this situation, and they do lose Tian's flash, but ultimately they get 369's teleport. It does slow down that side lane pressure, and that is something that you have to think about because right now, 369 is like 40-50 CS up on Wayward.
Yep.
He's 2 levels up as well. He is going to be a bit problematic, and as much as Aatrox isn't a pick that's like a massive side lane menace, it's that pressure, being able to push in, rotate over, and be a thorn in the side of the enemy team.
It's been one of those things, right, where like split pushers in the sense of like, do I have threat on tower? Haven't really been a thing for a while, but being able to keep up with the team and try to match or try to move first so the side of TS can't just overload you is going to be huge. But this is not stopping top esports. They're pretty much constantly roaming as a 4 to 5-man core everywhere. Even Wayward, he might be on bot, but he is TP available.
Yeah, so he's able to assist if they want to go for those plays. Something I do want to note, Knight just TP'd in there. He just picked up second item Rabadons. He has a pretty significant CS lead over Yagao. He is ready to make things happen. And I feel like across the board, we're seeing discrepancies. In top lane, 369's ahead. In mid lane, it's Knight. In AD carries, it's Hope as the CS lead, but JackeyLove actually is even in terms of items right now.
Both teams showing they're worthy to be, you know, first in at Worlds. That's all I'm going to throw in there. Top esports, though, continuously hovering around this dive. We've seen this multiple times with the setup, but JackeyLove now with the Phantom Dance, they're feeling more confident. The ward is going to spot out Kanavi as Mark sets up at the dredge line. The old shock laser Kanavi, depth charge over the wall. JackeyLove finishes the job. Kanavi is down, and bel'veth will not be eating tonight with a banquet off the menu. 369 dredge line and Mark again. 369 ascends though, tries to get back in but flushes away anyway. And top esports are feeling game 5.
And you got to be so careful there because if top esports got another couple of kills, they would have gone straight to that Baron.
Yeah.
They get the tower, they get the kill, they get what they wanted, but JDG do manage to back away, licking their wounds.
And especially now, right, where we're coming up with Dragon on the board in 40 seconds, since JDG opted into trying to answer on the top side, TS can now head straight down to Dragon and not have to deal with that vision. As we see here, Mark once again playing from Fog of War, lands the hook. bel'veth, like, he is going the more tank bruiser-esque route, still very squishy.
Yeah, bel'veth is one of these champions where she can feel like she's unmortal if she's ahead, if she's using an E well, but there he popped it when he was on like 100 HP. It's not doing anything for you when you're that low. If you get engaged on, locked down, can't use your abilities, you will just get caught out. And now, top esports back on the map, pushing in, Hextech Dragon in 3, and they are looking to try and get control of the area.
And like I said, JDG, I mean, they could have had control bot side, but they tried to match that top side.
Kanavi?
Wayward again, flash away. Man, I tell you what, Wayward's coming into his own form in game 5 as well on this Sejuani. Now with top esports having control of the area, JDG just might have to back away.
Now, it looks like they're going to just have to give up control of the side of TS. It would only be second Dragon going over to them. But if they can, you know, go for the posture, they do have a lot of range to play with coming out from Yagao. We've already hit on earlier with the Ricochet. I mean, Hope would be able to damage them even just by, you know, throwing that at the minions. You can try and look for it, but no, they aren't going to go for the extended contest.
I just feel like it's so rough for the front line of JDG. Yeah. 369 gets locked down before he can do much.
What front line, right?
Yeah, I mean, Kanavi is just very little to offer in terms of actual combat power right now. They are looking towards the Baron. This would be very fast.
Wayward's not here.
Is this going to decide the finals, honestly? Is this going to decide our first seed? JDG run away and say no.
Look how much damage Kanavi takes from the Baron, and that poke as well from Knight. There's no way they make this happen.
Tian might be caught out, though. Gets pulled back with his chains. Tian now at half HP. 369 doing a good job, but okay.
The gravity field, I mean, the zone control, like, how do you walk into that? You just really can't. So nice job by Knight to make sure that Tian's able to get out scot-free. But JDG do not want them touching the Dragon. They're going to keep trying to bluff them with this Baron play.
Mark ran forward, though, almost caught out as they're slowed down by the pillar placement. Tian trying to heal up on the backside. guys, you can just see that for JDG trying to force this, continuously goes round. Top Esports still not looking at Dragon.
You know, the crazy thing is, even though we've kind of set it up where it feels like Top Esports are firmly in control of the game, despite the small gold lead, we've seen how the series goes. I still feel very tense. Like, any small pick can turn into some crazy advantage for JDG.
It's anyone's game, honestly. It can easily go either way. But Top Esports, they will pick up the Dragon, and I feel like that's something they can do to solidify their chances. We saw the impact of the Hextech Soul in that game too. Even though JDG had Elder, Top Esports won with the Soul. And you got to think about the stats as well. Attack speed and ability haste, pretty fantastic for everyone on Top Esports. Obviously, some are valued more than others.
Hope.
Oh,
Caught out, has flash.
He should be safe.
Mark still has the ulti as well, but yeah, Spell Shield, a lot of tools to get on out. And that's all it would take. Top Esports now moving back towards Baron after taking away the Dragon.
Yeah, so, you know, great movement, right? They go down towards bot, they get vision. Now they can start sitting up towards the top side, control their own vision, walk into the enemy jungle, try and get some deep wards down, and make JDG's life a living hell.
Yeah, and they have to be really responsive and checking for the Baron, because it's not the fastest Baron compared to JDG. JDG having the Azir really makes theirs pacey, but it's a healthy Baron. Tian and Wayward can tank it for a pretty long amount of time, so even if you do find Top Esports on the Baron, they're unlikely to be that low in HP, and they'll be very ready to turn around and look for a fight.
And just think about how many tools they have of not even necessarily face check. It could be decent far away, like Wayward with the ultimate, the hook coming out from Mark, even a pillar placed behind by Tian. Instantly, a flash is forced from someone on JDG's side.
So I feel like right now we should be talking a little bit about how Top Esports are moving towards Baron, but more so how JDG are wasting time. Maybe not a chance as Kanavi, yep, in the range of ulti, but Wayward not with the full-on succession. A depth charge used as well.
Yeah, a lot burn, and ultimately, JDG do a fantastic job because bel'veth is a champion with so many dashes, able to move away before the CC connects from the Nautilus, and now Top Esports have lost two of their major tools, so we'll probably see the game slow down a bit as we look towards those cooldowns becoming available once again.
Yeah, and we could see, right, Top Esports have like a firm understanding of their win condition, like staying grouped up. I mean, their side lanes, as long as they're in neutral positions, like they're totally fine, and just constantly posture to contest vision. You could throw out JackeyLove's W to get some of this poke down, and JDG trying to use this window to find and engage.
Well, it's on the mark. Actually, Kanavi's one that starts it off, finds a nice pick here. The support almost dropping down. JDG move into position, but there's still no kill.
Yeah, so scary there for Mark, having to be in the flash. And you see this ebb and flow keep trying to find any little advantage in these situations. Do you see 369 posturing here? This might be enough. They know Mark had to reset. He's the one with the wards.
369, though, going to be launched on as Baron is going down pretty quickly for JDG. This is what it's going to get thrown down to. Top Esports moving to River. Mark is now rejoined in, but he's far away. Kanavi's taking a lot of damage as Wayward's ulti. He's instant spell shielded. Beautiful stuff from Hope.
Yeah, Hope ran forwards to spell shield it, to tank it for his team. It wasn't just he spell shielded off the cuff. Great call. And now JDG are trying to fight back and regain posture.
And I mean, it looks like Top Esports, they know, hey, we can just turn towards mid. We can cut off their path, push in this wave, and get more chip damage down onto this inner turret. Hope showing on top wave. Nothing JDG can really do here.
Yes, this should be the tower gone. We'll see if JDG can try and make something happen off the back of this. Do have TP available for 369, but I think with Hope not being there, no way they can contest. And once again, we get the move back. Something to note, look at the mini-map. That bot wave is massive.
Yeah.
They know someone has to answer it, and this gives them the window to move in this Baron area.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like they. Yeah, it looks like they're not going to make anything happen off it. But now it's 2 minutes until that next dragon, and it's crazy. We haven't really seen any kills in the past few minutes. We haven't really obviously seen many objectives apart from that mid tier 2. But they are constantly trying to find any window to set up for this.
I mean, we've seen I mean, in the past few minutes, despite not having kills, Wayward's thrown out his ultimate, you know, 3-4 times.
Off cooldown.
Constantly prodding to be able to try and find those opportunities. I like that TS went for those resets because we've had people on the map for quite a while. And I feel like now the big thing is AD carries. Both AD carries sitting on 3 items is actually huge. Hope, once again, kind of being the one of the only hopes for the side of JDG, in my opinion. Like, Yagao's keeping up, but at the same time, I feel like it's still the problem of that front line on TS.
Yeah.
Just feels so much more like ahead or competent compared to their counterparts.
Look at the items on Top Esports. The fact we have a Randwinds and a Frostfire on Tian, and a Frostfire and a Frozen Heart on Wayward. Like, yes, you have the LDR, but I feel like Hope needs 4 items before he can really cut through them. And Top Esports, they know, they feel confident on this. They're leaning towards this Baron. And they want JDG to come. They want to bring them over towards them.
I love it too. And just on that Frozen Heart, right, so many attack speed champions on the side of JDG can get a ton of value coming out, and they're trying to find the pick.
They're going to walk in though. Remember, Hope is heading forward. We saw it before with the spell shield. Coming out with the shield from missing first. Ultra Shock Laser is great. 369 is taking a flanking angle, but Top Esports have spotted him out.
Yeah, Top Esports. I mean, they're doing a great job of peeling off, and JDG kind of doing what Top Esports did to them
Juggling.
only a minute ago, right? Stay around mid, kind of posture, stare them down, be able to get chip damage down onto mid lane. And now I expect us to pivot from Baron completely because 20 seconds, Dragon will be up. We saw last game, JDG tried to bluff them for Baron a lot, but I feel like this time you can't get this one over.
Yeah, I mean, it would make it difficult, but at the same time, the Baron will be so fast for JDG, so Top Esports definitely don't want to give up any space. Good poke, landing on a missing. Remember, although JackeyLove got chunked a bit by the ricochet, the Mortal Shield Bow does mean he can sustain up. Top Esports are leaning towards that bot side. They want to get control of the area, and I think they want to try and have JackeyLove solo, but they see JDG move towards the Baron, and they know they can't commit the resources. Once again, we get this dance.
Well, this time, though, 369 will not be spotted out in the brush, waiting. The flank can be huge. Kanavi get hit hard and flashes. Mark with the dredge line. 369 finally comes in. JackeyLove's lightning crashdown does hit one target. No cooldown as he gets over the wall, and they turn. Wayward's ulting against JackeyLove. No! In a game 5, flushed against the wall. Still chasing up, though, even without the ulti. 369 should die as Baron stops.
Oh, it might be able to TP out.
In time. Only just.
Away, and look at where the other members of JDG are. They've actually completely bamboozled them. They're on Dragon.
7-dimensional chess happening yet again. Kanavi on the back of the pit wants to get the smite. Wayward jumping on in. Tian running forward. It's not stolen. JDG gets his endless banquet. Comes on in. It's Kanavi's time to shine. His kick in the jungle. Yagao gets JackeyLove. JDG are winning the fight in game 5. They have outmaneuvered Top Esports. Kanavi's ulti's ended though.
Look at Knight.
Still alive. Knight trying to be the golden left hand, but missing comes in clutch, and I cannot fathom.
I don't know how JDG did it. They literally just pulled TES around the map. They completely hoodwinked them. They get the Dragon, they get the fight, they get the Baron.
They get everything from this one, and when Knight was there to try and step up to clean up, the franchise player for Top Esports, he gets shut down by missing.
I watched Aladdin last night, and I feel like JDG have got the magic lamp at this point.
Yeah, and we see here, right, he finally gets the endless banquet. First time in the game, Yagao on top of JackeyLove, Hope untouched, instantly gets pulled down. Knight does his best on the back line, Ox, but it's not enough.
Dude, this polymorph from Missing, look how low Missing's health is, by the way, and he goes, look, I have to do this. Forwards. And Hope was so low as well. That could have been a 1v3 performance from Knight to save the game, but Missing says no.
Bottom 3 support in 2021, by the way. Missing has been at the bottom for a long time. His first grand finals, and that was clutch. Could be the decider here for JDG to get first seed at Worlds, for them to get their second domestic championship. The world now watching as they have the Baron, they have the lead, and they have 2K to spruik
and
about.
I thought we'd gotten to a point where we saw the deficiencies in how JDG's comp plays against TES. They were really struggling to find ways to get on top of any members of Top Esports, right? 369 tries to go in, instantly gets pushed away. JDG, I mean, Kanavi can't even go close without getting bursted out. The fact that they found a way to pull it back to now be up in gold blows my mind.
And the thing is, Top Esports, they obviously got some damage on a 369, but JackeyLove could have saved his flash.
Yeah.
They could have not chased 369, and they would have had an advantage, but they saw blood. They saw a chance to close out this game, and they bit into nothing. And now JDG with that Baron starting to apply pressure, starting to pick up gold and extend that lead.
And Dag just said it on the desk, right, that we've seen some of the veteran members of Top Esports be the one to, you know, over-index into plays, step too far forward, be the ones making mistakes. And that's still true here as 369 now.
Speaking of.
No flash, no TP.
He has more, though, and they're both magic damage.
Going to be ulti, and you're right. Knight, as he comes in, though, actually has to apply it. First Permafrost in, but look at bel'veth in the top lane. Kanavi brought out this pick in game number 5. He's taken turrets at 369. Pretty hard to kill. Takes a while. They get him, but it is still gold to JDG in response.
I mean, look at the right of your screen. 2 towers for that kill, and it's the right call for Top Esports. If you don't take that kill, the extra minute 15 of Baron will keep putting pressure on your base, but they still take a heavy blow.
Right? I mean, it's the right choice for TS, but it was also the right choice for JDG. It's one of those deaths where it's like, cool, look at the objective spawning. Like, nothing gonna come up before 369 is back up on the map, so you kind of just gave that death over to make sure you can find more gold elsewhere, because right after that fight, JDG were about 1K up, now extending it up to a 3,000 gold lead.
And what I want to point out is Hope has just picked up an Infinity Edge and a stopwatch to boot. We often talk about 3 items for the Zeri. When you get the IE, it's a big spike. But 4 items Sivir, you're finally going to start really threatening Wayward and Tian with that damage.
You know, we've seen every fight today be on a knife's edge. Look across the board, 5 stopwatches, 3 on the side of JDG, Kanavi, Yagao, and Hope, 2 on the side of TS, 4 Tian and Knight. I feel like we were saying earlier on, these extended fights, this next one's going to be even more extended.
I guess summer grand finals could be decided by the next one, right? We're looking at the 3rd dragon, but we're looking at JDG holding that position of power. When the doorbell rings, you answer it. And for Jingdong, this is their moment in the sun. A 2nd championship for a 2017 organization, creating legacy in the LPL. It comes down to this with a minute to go.
I feel like especially looking at these scaling mid laners and going for these teamfight options, historically, Knight has always gotten the best of Yagao, but this split has been his time to tell his story. And now with Knight 4-1 and 3 up, Yagao on this Azir, it's going to be both their time to show their stuff.
Yeah, and we can see the setup is coming from top esports, but we see the sideways in favor of JDG. They've done their homework, they pushed the waves. Top esports are like, screw it, we just need to be there first on the objective. And now 369's here, they're looking for the setup on the play.
Great pillar though from Tian. JDG ignoring them completely though, and they're just running up mid.
Yeah, they're just gonna go, they're gonna push and force them in.
On a
we
ward.
Remember, Wayward though doesn't
on a ward.
Ulti.
Hope running forward on a ward, and Ricochet deadly in a close choke as Chaos Storm comes out, and Yagao just buys time. JDG don't even want to take the fight.
JDG just playing so smart right now. Again, we were criticizing their mid and late game decisions, but in this game, they're immaculate.
I remember they have the Azir tower to throw down if they try and aggress on them, so JDG will play around that.
Pillar's really good though. Watch for JackeyLove. He lightning crash. There you go, Pillar! JackeyLove, what are you doing? Top esports have given kills to Hope and TES. This is not the summer we remember. After 4 splits of waiting, after all this time, Jingdong have not only returned to the grand finals, but they have returned for revenge against top esports, against what was our top team. JDG break the tie, break the mold, lock in first seed, and return to the throne.
So huge for the members of JDG. This split, they have beaten top esports every time they've gone against each other. This game, it looks so hard. They weren't finding fights. Kanavi wasn't finding an impact. One fight, one mistake from TS, JDG completely take over.
And I think the thing you can say for JDG more than any team is that this wasn't a one-man band. This wasn't a one-man performance to carry them to the title. This was 5 members who worked so well together. And when it came to the finals, they had what they needed to push it over the edge.
The decision-making, as you guys said, at Game 5, JDG with a revamped roster, our 2022 Summer Champions. This is the start of their legacy. Hell, it is a renewal with Kanavi leading the jungle and JDG picking up their 2nd LPL title.
让我们恭喜北京 JDG 英特尔战队站到了这个夏天的最后，获得了总冠军。来，有请几位选手
LPL
站在
Summer
我们的前面。
Finals. You guys really deserve this
这
honor
个
at this
BO5 真
moment.
的是跌宕起
So after
伏、扣
countless
人心
wins
弦
and
的
losses
BO5。
and trials,
18
we're
年、
more
19年的
stronger
冒泡赛
right
，20
now.
年的
It
夏局
reminds me
，21
of
年的
the
季后赛。
nameplates
京
of
东的夏
all
天好像
LPL
总是
Summer
充满了
Finals
遗憾，但是
champions
这个
from
夏天，
2013
捧
to
起拥杯的这个瞬
2022,
间，所有
which
的遗
were
憾
raised
都已经
during the
烟消云散
opening。
他们用
ceremony.
坚定改写了注定，站到了这
They
个
are
夏天
symbols
的
of
最后，
previous
终于
champions
铸成
breaking
了
through
更
the
强大的
limits
自
and
我。这
overcoming
让我想起了
difficulties.
开幕式的时候升起的那块名牌，是从2013年到2022年所有 LPL 夏季赛总决赛冠军的名牌，他们都是历届冠军们突破极限、战胜困难的象征。